Welcome, everybody. It's the BKBK podcast where sports and the culture collide and the New York Jets reign supreme. I'm your host, Brandon Phillips, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brian Taylor, and Captain Kyle McKenna. Kerry is MIA, but he'll be back with us for the next one, all right?
MIA.
Yeah, MIA. Let the 2023 NFL football begin. Woo! Clap it up, y'all.
Let's go.
All right, listen, with that being said, it's time for the New York Jets to straighten up and fly right. By the way, I wanted to use that because you ever get disciplined and like your parents are like, Brandon, you better straighten up and fly right. And then you're like, okay. I've had that happen to me before, so that's funny. So I had to use it. All right. So, look, guys, this season is huge, all right? The first game of the season at home for the Jets on 9/11. Monday night is huge, all righty? And speaking of big, do you guys see what Deion Sanders is doing to college football this year?
Of course, yeah.
Things, all right?
We're going to miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we're going to talk about all of that right now. But first, we're going to talk about the New York Jets, all right? And the first thing I think we should talk about, you know, if you're cooking up food, right, and you want to make that New York Jets stew, what's the recipe for success against the Bills on Monday night?
It's a great question right there. Great question.
It is.
I'll hop in there and start it off then. I mean, there's a couple things that I jotted down as I was kind of thinking about that. First thing for me is keep Josh Allen in the pocket, right? Keep that dude in the pocket. We don't want him scrambling around for first downs and all that kind of stuff. We want the opportunity for our D-line to really get after him. And if he's scrambling out of the pocket and getting upfield for first downs, we can't get that done. Defense, get off the field on third down, right? So we got to get stops, 3 and out. Sauce has to be sauce, Daddy. He's got to be sauce, Daddy. Right now, the Bills' wide receivers is escaping me.
I don't want gravy because gravy's too slow.
Nah. Sauce. You can just, you know what I mean? Like the ketchup, the Heinz ketchup, you know what I mean? Just throwing it out there. You know, you got to get it done that way. So who's their wide receiver? Because the name is escaping me on the Bills.
It's
Stephon Diggs?
Stephon Diggs, exactly. I need sauce all over the Diggs. You know what I'm saying? Sauce all over them. You know what I mean? Safety play has to be key, right? You know, Tony Adams has got to be the best player on defense almost. We got to be able to run the football and then escape injury-free. So those are the things I'm looking for. What say you, the rest of the podcasters?
So my recipe for success would be very similar. You score when you have the opportunity and stop. So scores and stops. And what I mean by that would be that you don't leave any scoring opportunities on the field. You're getting 3 or you're getting 7 when you're in the position to do so, and not turning the ball over, making sure that you're able to mix the run and the pass, the play action game with Aaron Rodgers, and get the ball to all the playmakers that we have. I'd love to see Tyler Conklin take advantage of what the Bills might try to do to take away Lazard and Garrett Wilson. But I think that I don't think they're going to truly be able to totally take Garrett Wilson out of his game. I think he's a dynamic player, and they're going to get the ball to him. So these complementary players that may benefit from emphasis elsewhere, Conklin, Lazard, McCole Hardman, I think they'll do a great job. I really hope that they take Dalvin Cook. If they are going to play Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, they do some personnel that puts them both on the field at the same time and gets Dalvin Cook involved in the passing game. I would like to see the screen game and the play action game be, our bread and butter with the solid run game. Defensively, I'd really like to see our defensive backs jump up to the level as a unit to our front seven and get ourselves in a position where, like you said, keep Josh Allen from beating you on the ground, take away their run game, and really get ourselves in a position that we can close at the end of the game. So it's two tough teams, two good teams that are going to be competitive all year. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter. It's going to come down to scoring opportunities. And when we get in the fourth quarter, I really want to see our front four in that point in the rotation where guys like McDonald and JJ and Quinnen and a whole host of others, Huff, they come out there and they close the show with immense pressure when the Bills need to score in order to win the game. So if we can take care of business on offense and then really push it to the limit with the pass rush at the end, it's a very similar recipe to success that the Peyton Manning Denver Broncos had when they went on their run to the Super Bowl. And I'm hoping that we can get that type of play from our quarterback while also getting that type of show-stopping play from the defense.
Nice. Yeah, you're both making great points, and I'm with you guys on all that. More specifically, just from my perspective, the number one thing that I want to see, and that is a recipe for success for us winning tomorrow or Monday, is Aaron Rodgers' leadership. I only want to see one leader on that football field on offense, and that is Aaron Rodgers. I know we have a lot of guys who like him and respect him, but sometimes, when you're just put in that pressure cooker, I just still want all of our players to fall in line and understand that Aaron Rodgers is in charge and love and trust him so that, when you guys are in that pressure cooker, you guys can just make it through and continue to make plays. So, and I trust that they will. I'm not saying that, I don't think that will happen, but I'm just saying that is the number one ingredient for this recipe. Giving Aaron Rodgers the autonomy and let him be in charge, because he's got a Hall of Fame career. He's known to make great decisions on the field. And I just want to see that manifest, with the New York Jets like we've never seen before. So Aaron Rodgers, captain of that ship on that offense, even if it has to be a 3-and-out, just continue to trust him because he's going to make something happen. And I truly believe that. So allow him to lead. The second thing is, just like what you guys are saying, I want to see relentless disruption by the D-line. We have a deep D-line, okay? Tackles to ends.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. Tackles to ends, great rotation. And, they should, in theory, they shouldn't get tired. They should just be able to just keep coming. And coming. And I'm telling you guys, watch out for two people, okay?
Who?
Well, actually, more than two.
Brandon can't count.
No.
What math class were you in, bro?
Just fired up. Q, all right? We love Q. We know he's going to bring it. But Jermaine Johnson, man, watch out for him.
Yeah, buddy.
He looked good in the preseason. He got jacked, even more jacked. He was already big before. He's got a nice spin move, too. He's been using it a lot.
Yeah.
And then also Will McDonald, man, the kid is smooth cutting the corner.
Yeah.
He got to bend off of that. And then all three of us, we love Huff, So, man, it's just keep bringing it. And, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a real problem. I just can't wait to see that. And it's just going to make the entire defense just look better.
There's a name you didn't mention there. And that's Carl Lawson.
Things I didn't mention, but yeah.
No, I want to just go back to Carl Lawson for a second because he has been in and out of practice.
Yeah.
He's not listed on the injury report. Did they put him on IR?
No. But he, with a back injury, he had a couple of different injuries towards the end of the preseason, which kept him out of practice and kept him out of some games. Honestly, listen, we need everybody, right? Because we need the full rotation and everything. But I want to see JJ starting. I honestly want to see JJ out there starting for a couple of reasons. A, we drafted him last year, moved up to get him. ultimately younger player, and Carl Lawson, based on his contract, probably will not be here next year. JJ will definitely be here. And I like the way he plays the run and the pass from that perspective. I think JJ could be special, right? That's the reason why they drafted him in the first round. So I really, really would love to see him take over that spot and start and have Carl Lawson kind of, mix in a little bit, right? Kind of inverse that relationship.
An interesting question this brings up is the way that the preseason is laid out now. Was there even really an opportunity for somebody to beat out somebody else for a starting spot? Because you could make the argument that that Bryce Huff might be somebody who should start over both Carl Lawson and
JFM,
potentially JJ. I think that I'm assuming that the starting lineup based on depth chart is going to be a JFM on the outside and a Carl Lawson on the outside.
Right.
If Carl Lawson is a full participant.
Right.
But Carl Lawson and JFM hardly played in the preseason at all. So nobody was really seriously, we didn't hear anything about competitions for their jobs. We just saw our second string, quote unquote, or Bs go off in the preseason. I think that Bryce Huff had 5 sacks in the preseason.
Really? Was it 5? So here's my thing with Huff.
Something along those lines.
Here's my thing with Huff. I don't think he's a two-way player. I think he is a pass rusher. I don't think he plays as well against the run and point of attack. So that's where I feel like Huff a little undersized too, from that perspective as well. So if you run at him, I think JJ looks a little bit different than Huff if you're running directly at him. So that's the reason I think that Huff ends up and will always be a situational pass rusher as opposed to, hey, I'm going to play an every down type of role at the end. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
We also have Michael Clemens, who we haven't.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you talk about it, but, Michael Clemens is a D tackle now, but, they flip-flop him big.
They mix him in. Yeah.
I think he's more a DN than he is a D tackle. I don't think he has a D tackle designation.
He plays both. Whereas last year he
was. As JFM does too.
Right. Yeah. I slide him inside on third down, right? Pin your ears back, slide him inside, and then you have Huff out there. You got JJ out there. You might got McDonald out there. I really want that NASCAR package, right, that the Giants had to be able to shut down fourth quarters, man. That's really what we have at the end of the day, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. Was the NASCAR is really JFM, Quinnen, and then pick your poison on the other two.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're gonna go NASCAR. That means you got to have Huff in there, and then pick your poison on that last end. JJ.
It's JJ. It's JJ or Will McDonald. I mean, I think that Will McDonald has a ton of potential, but he's looking up at these guys.
They compared him to John Abraham,
and I don't think it's off the mark at all.
Neither do I. One last thing I want to say is in regards to the offense, as far as a recipe, what I think we need to do is no matter what, just keep scoring. Meaning, even if it's just a field goal, and then we get disappointed during a drive and we stall. Just keep putting up points. Keep putting up points. Keep putting up points.
Well, and I would say I think it is important. I think it is important. Though. Go ahead.
Well, it's because it's not like last year when we had Zach, and then it's like, man, we need to put up more points, and then you'd want to get a little desperate and try something. You know what I'm saying? And then it fails. Like we have Aaron Rodgers, so if we stall for say 3 drives, but we're close enough to get a field goal, we have Greg the leg. We get that. The next thing you know, something clicks, and Aaron Rodgers is just making it happen. Next thing you know, we get 2 touchdowns in a row from Aaron Rodgers, and we're back into it. You know what I'm saying?
I do. But we're playing the Buffalo Bills, right? Right. Well, sure, but 3 to me is disappointing. We need to score 7s, right? So that's where I'm like, I get it. I get it. 3 is better than a turnover or scoring nothing. But if we get down there, we can't come away with kicking field goals too many times. We really need to score touchdowns because they're going to score touchdowns. Like I think we match up very well. Probably better than maybe the San Francisco, but we match up extremely well against them. Our defense versus their offense, right? Because they don't run the ball well, right? Which is something that was somewhat of an Achilles heel for us last year, where we couldn't really, stop the run or whatever. But against the pass, like we had it all, right? The full recipe. So, and they don't run the ball well, but they can pass. Now that being the case, they still can score, and they can score quickly. So that's where I'm like, we need to score 7 when we get down there. That's all.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, you know what I'm saying. But my thing is, don't do anything stupid because you're feeling desperate to get the 7.
Oh, like, yeah.
Like, just get the 3, and I have the confidence in our offense, and with the relationship that Hackett and Rodgers have, considering the MVPs that Rodgers has with this coordinator, and just from what we've seen in the preseason, I think that he can make it click, and then we can just jump right back on that horse. And next thing you know, it's like, oh snap, how did we just come back?
Sure.
Oh, got Aaron Rodgers.
Sure. Well, one thing that we didn't mention yet is the offensive line, right? And so the offensive line is key to all of this. And if the offensive line does not open up holes in the run game and pass block effectively, then we're not going to go very far in this game or in this season. So that's key. And part of that, which I'm very encouraged by, is that all 5 of the offensive linemen, including both tackles, Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton, practiced together, right? So that was a key component of it, because we heard some news about Becton having an illness or whatever. So I was kind of concerned, like, here we go again type vibe. But it sounds like all 5 of our starting offensive linemen will play, and we need that for them to be able to come in, play together, gel as a unit, and be able to protect. He's 8, right? Number 8 at this point?
Number 8.
Yeah, number 8, man. Come in here and protect that dude, man, and open up some holes in the run game so that we can have a balanced attack.
I got the depth charts pulled up here, and going back to our D-line conversation there, they have Carl Lawson, Quentin Jefferson, Quinton Williams, and JFM as the starting 4. Second string is Jermaine Johnson backing up Lawson, Solomon Thomas backing up Jefferson, Al Woods backing up Williams, and Michael Clemens backing up Franklin Myers. So Bryce Huff and Will McDonald are listed as third string on the depth chart. So I think that kind of plays into the pass rush specialist type of role there. So you got your 8 guys on the on the 2 deep that are run and pass capable. Going up to the offensive line.
You know what, Connor? Here's the thing: in this league now, we throw so much. I can't put numbers on it, but it's got to be like, I don't know, 65-35 or 60-40 from the ratio throw to run or passing to running. Those guys that we just labeled as pass rushing specialists, they're going to get a lot of burn out there.
Well, what do they say? What do they say in the draft? It's a 3rd down and a 2-minute league.
Right.
That's where you win games, and in the 4th quarter too. So all those things really, they go back to that whole idea of having pass rushers that can close the game for you. I mean, Myles Garrett did it today.
And have those 2 guys, relegated to that, right? It's ridiculous.
Super fresh. Man. 3rd and 15. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I'll say that in my taken voice.
4th quarter, down by 2 scores. Good luck.
Good luck.
At Hofstra, we should be like, luck. Worship.
Worship.
Luck.
Joe Gardy saying that. I'm looking at the depth chart for the O-line too. So you look at, I mean, not only is this the starting 5 that we wanted, it's the best 5.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you have Max Mitchell as a backup tackle that has started games. You have Billy Turner, who is a backup that Aaron Rodgers actually trusts because he played with him in Green Bay. And then you got Tippmann waiting there to jump in at either guard or center if need be. And Tippmann showed that he played really well in the preseason. So very interesting. You know what? The one person I'm not sure of what their role is going to be and how when we're having this conversation 3 weeks from now, I wonder what it would be like. Where does Michael Carter, offensive Michael Carter, running back, where does he really fit in long term on this offense? I feel like they like Israel Abanikanda a lot. Especially if you watch the last Hard Knocks. Got a lot of attention as somebody. He came back. He was supposed to be out 4 weeks with the thigh injury. Came back in a week, and people were like, "Whoa, it's crazy." And I wonder, they already got rid of Bam Knight. Does anybody know where Bam Knight wound up?
No.
Yeah, you should look that up.
And I forget, but he definitely landed somewhere.
Yeah, so we don't have Bam Knight anymore, and I really wonder whether Michael Carter is dynamic enough to live in this depth chart of running backs long term.
So no, I think he's not on this roster next year. So that's A. And we talking about
Lions.
Lions?
He's on the Lions.
Yeah.
Pretty good fit for him. He's not going to see burn early, but you might see it late, right? But
return some kicks.
Yeah, you could do that. But I think Michael Carter is your backup 2-minute third down guy, right? Because I think he is good out of the backfield, and that's probably better than Izzy is as far as catching the football. I think Breece Hall could do it all. But I think, he's probably backup 2-minute, third down guy.
Yeah. And little gadget stuff like, Michael Carter's good on screens and little quick hitches and stuff like that just to get you maybe a few yards needed for, like a pass that's really like a run play to get you a first down or a screen, things like that, And, honestly, I thought he was going to be better than what he is. He doesn't. Yeah. He's not a Dalvin. He's definitely not a Breece. And Izzy, as we saw in the preseason, he runs hard and he's tough. He kind of reminds me of a Pacheco almost a little bit. You know what I mean? And I love that kid Pacheco. That's on Kansas City.
Pacheco. I mean, now that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back, Pacheco didn't really do much in that game. It just goes to show you again the greater picture of the running back in the NFL right now, like the value of that running back and the what have you done for me lately kind of qualities of that. Christian McCaffrey is getting paid $23 million a year. He's the last running back that will ever get paid that much money. And that's just all there is to it.
Don't disagree with you there. But I do think that the way they deploy the running backs in Kansas City is they pass so much that you can't, and we get it in fantasy, right? There's very little value, and it's hard to really understand where the ball's going when he's throwing the ball too, Patrick Mahomes, right? Because besides Kelsey, you don't know what wide receiver the ball is going to, right? You did.
Not anymore.
Man, not anymore. I mean, so I just think that offense is a little bit different. Now, let's take a step backwards and talk about the Jets and say, had Breece Hall not gotten injured last year, I mean, his share of carries would be, the lion's share, period.
Garrett Wilson to hand that trophy over to Breece if he didn't get hurt.
Absolutely. So I think it depends on the team that you're talking about as far as the value of the running back. But to your point, Kyle, $23 million. I don't think any other running back is going to see that much on a per annual basis. Not at all.
Well, I use the Denver Peyton Manning analogy for like the recipe. I mean, what we're really doing is using the San Francisco recipe. That's where Salah comes from. There's a lot of people out there trying to mix together ingredients like Shanahan did, or does, right? And you look at the way that San Francisco has turned out with Brock Purdy at quarterback, sending Trey Lance over to Dallas. That's you look at what we're doing with Zach Wilson now, and kind of trying to cultivate that bird with a broken wing back to a point where he can at least be a serviceable backup for us going forward. Or as Aaron Rodgers really likes Zach Wilson and says, I want to play a few more years and then hand it over to Zach for the next 15. I think is what he said on Hard Knocks on one of those episodes. So the recipe is a solid defense with Bosa types, Von Miller types, people, our Fred Warner is CJ Mosley. The ability to have depth on defense, to throw a lot at you all game, never stops, all gas, no breaks,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. Throw in all those adjectives that you want. But the bottom line is run the football, play defense. You don't need necessarily Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, you name it, if you run the ball and you play defense. And that's the way it was with Rex Ryan, too. And we went to 2 AFC championships with that type of philosophy.
Yeah.
So I really hope that, getting back to your original thing with Breece Hall, when Breece Hall gets the lion's share, if Breece Hall had not gotten injured last year, I think we would be talking about a totally different team going into this year, even. Because I think his ability to run the ball and our ability to play defense would have worked really well together last year. And it probably would have been worth maybe 4 more wins. Whereas, we're at more in that, 7 and
well,
what is it now?
We wouldn't have Aaron Rodgers.
We probably would not have done that.
Yeah. Well, just couple that with AVT too, because they both were lost in the same game. So just want to make sure we don't forget about that guy.
Yeah.
Don't forget about AVT. Thank you, Jamal Adams, who is not playing today for the Seattle Seahawks.
The gift that keeps on giving.
A true linebacker.
So yeah, right, exactly. He's not even a rover. He's just like a 5'10.5" linebacker.
Again, we got AVT for Jamal Adams on the back end, but we could have gotten Pat Mahomes in the first place. So whatever.
Going back to 2017. Is that what it was? 2017?
Jamal Adams just triggers me so many ways.
He tweaks you. Tweak me, peek me. Every year, Kyle, right there. So, fellas,
24/7.
on to a next topic. So, we're talking about winning. So, do the Jets need to acquire another player or two to really cement this whole thing of winning that we have in our minds? Because we've got Aaron Rodgers. That was a huge acquisition. Lazard. We've got, Will McDonald. We've got, a bunch of number 1 draft picks, new acquisitions, What else do we need to do? Is there something that we need to do to kind of further us this season to ensure that we're going to make the playoffs and potentially go deep in it?
Mike Evans. Yes. Mike Evans, wide receiver.
What does Mike Evans cost? And do you sign him long term in that exchange?
What does he cost? Great question. So I think you get him for like between a third and a fourth. I think you get him somewhere in that range. Do you sign him for a long-term deal? If you don't have to, you try not to. But ultimately, I would like to sign him long-term. I think he brings something to this team we don't currently have, which is that big-bodied wide receiver, that end zone type of, just post them up and throw the ball in there, right? So
He has a Brandon Marshall thing to him.
Absolutely. And he still got the 4-3, 4-4 wheels on him, right? So, but when you look at our wide receiver depth, I love the young guys. I love the Jason Brownlees of the world. I love the Xavier Gibsons of the world. And I think they're going to be good players ultimately. But right now, we need somebody that is a proven winner, proven commodity, somebody you could throw the ball to, 7-8 times a game if you need to, right? And if, God forbid, Garrett Wilson goes down, I mean, Lazard isn't ready to step into that number one position. Think about what our wide receiver group looks like at that point. So to me, yeah, you could say depth on the offensive line, especially tackle. I can say that too. I don't think we're going to shake free a tackle that is in line with where Mike Evans is as far as wide receiver is concerned. They didn't sign him long term. And he put a deadline on it, and it's since passed. So I think we bring him into our program, and hopefully don't have to sign him right now, but off season, whatever, we wink type of guarantee that, hey, we're going to sign you in the off season. I think we do it, and I think we're better for it.
Yeah.
Is Mike Evans 30?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. I think he's like 31. He might be. I can check that out.
I think he's 30. But I'll look it up.
I can handle 30 to 35 with a wide receiver that doesn't have a big injury history.
Yeah. He's 30. Let me just see what date of birth. Yes. And his birthday just passed. It's August 21st.
So we just turned 30, 6'5". I think we need another big body, and he's got more speed than Lazard. And since we lost your boy, forget his name, oh my gosh, who was 6'3" and about
Corey Davis.
Yeah,
and about 215 pounds.
And he's a much better Corey Davis. I mean, come on,
it's a definite upgrade there. I mean, Mike Evans was the guy that Johnny Football threw all the touchdowns to in Texas A&M, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was his main receiver. I mean, you're going to a point, I think, if you get a Mike Evans, where you have a 1A and a 1B rather than a 1 and a 2, and that, I mean, that's an upgrade, and we have the cap space to do it, and I'm sure that Joe Douglas has been chopping this up in his head a lot more than we have. So
sure,
like a Ginsu. Him and Rex Hogan are in there. They're in the cafeteria. They're eating the garlic Parmesan wings that they make at the Jets complex in Florham Park.
Are they cafeteria A or are they in cafeteria B at Baldwin High School?
They're hanging out with the drama kids over in cafeteria B. Popping in. I know I'm a jock, but I'm also in the play, so I got to check on my people.
Like if you're gonna go in the cafeteria B, is that where you like put on your Doors T-shirt and then hey man?
I already had it on, bro. Yeah. I had it on with the Doors T-shirt. Come on, man. It always comes back to ball in high school, and
it has to. We're all Bruins here. Hey man, I hung out in cafeteria B too. I was all over the place, man. I was like this,
That's right.
I spoke to Coach Carroll. The other day.
Yeah,
and he was telling me about the. He came out with the 100th anniversary football history book. Yeah. That was great and is quite an accomplishment. But now he's doing the same thing for Nassau County football.
Oh, wow.
And he said he's finding out all this crazy stuff about Nassau County football, but he has that coming up. But he also told me that the new head coach at Baldwin High School is Ernie Blount, who you guys might not know, but he was a coach at Baldwin when I started coaching in '96. And we coached together. And then he went on to coach at LIU CW Post. and now is back at Baldwin as the head coach, which I had no idea. I know Kerry had told me that they had a coaching change. I didn't know who they changed it to. And Ernie Blount is a quality human being and a really good football coach. So, side note, little sidebar there. Ball Bruins are in really good hands
Okay.
with their new head coach. So we should
Nice.
probably talk about that after they have a game or two and review that. But I know Brooklyn Tech won yesterday. They beat Grady to open up the season with a win, and I think that Nassau County may be starting next week, or maybe they started today, but tomorrow, yesterday. I'm not sure.
All right. Nice, man. There we go. All
There
right.
we go.
So, yeah, listen, these Jets, let me tell you, I mean, I think we're almost there because for us to talk about what the Jets need, we had these conversations in years past, and we were like this, like they need this, and they need that, and they need this, and this, that. Now it's like, okay, we need a receiver, and we can go with what? An offensive tackle? Okay. And then it's like we're ready to move on to the next segment. So that to me shows a lot of growth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just want to just give, our GM just one note. Don't work out Galloway or Galladay.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to hear that.
Nah.
Just
You're
like
funny, man.
working that dude out.
Nah.
Like I get it, you don't want to leave any stone unturned. I get it, but that might be a time waster right there. So don't even do that. The
Yeah.
guy's brittle. I want no parts of him. Have him go elsewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Peanut brittle.
Yeah, peanut brittle for real. Or
Well,
like the thin pretzels that like are easy to crunch. Thin.
and just to expand on your point, though, B, I mean, when I looked at the outline, I really racked my brain, right? I was going mentally. I didn't even go through the depth chart. Like mentally, I was going through it. Like offensive line, like, well, I mean, we got the starting five. Like wide receiver, okay, I get, yeah, okay. Running back, no. Tight end, no. We got a lot there. We just didn't know what we have because we didn't have good wide receiver play, right? Defensive line, heck no. Linebacker, I mean, but no. Safety, I think we good. This is cornerback. No, we don't need nobody there. You know what I mean? Like, just the depth that we have. It's not just our starters. Like, we have depth behind those folks as well. And JD's done a really good job over the years. Now, he whiffed on some big ones, right? Zach, obviously, and we'll see ultimately who he is as a player, especially compared to the other draft picks that came right behind him. But, he just putting depth together, not only from draft picks, but undrafted free agents, some of the folks that he's brought in as free agents as well. I mean, it's just been it's a nice roster right now. Feels good to have one.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, listen, Zach, it's now Zach's time to play his Jordan Love position, okay? And then, allow Aaron Rodgers to coach him up. The people that I've spoken to said that he's allowing that very much so, and he and Aaron Rodgers have a really good relationship, and he knows where his place is, and he's happy to take that place so that he can soak up all that information and all that coaching. So that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad he is humble yet confident enough to take that seat, and hopefully, if he does continue to grow, that we can kind of rework his deal when it comes time for him to get a new deal on the cheaper side. And then we can use the excess money to kind of keep building weapons around him on offense and weapons on our defense as well.
Right.
So
we'll
see how that works out. But right now, it's like I'm going all gas, no break, wink, wink on Aaron Rodgers. So let's go. I can't wait for Monday night. You know who else?
I wonder if.
Huh?
I wonder if we did decide to roll the dice on Zach Wilson following the Aaron Rodgers thing. I wonder how much that would actually cost. Would that be on the low end of quarterback costs? Like, would you do that on a short deal? Would you do that on a longer deal to save money? I wonder, and I don't know if we need to get into that, but as you're saying that, it makes me think: is he a $23 million a year quarterback? If you decide to roll the dice on him, do you bring in somebody else to compete with him? Those are all later questions.
You're bringing a high end backup because remember McCown, he was our backup. We paid him $10 million for that 1 year. So I'd say maybe bringing him back for maybe 15, and that would be on the cheaper side, I'd say, of having someone, and then you're bringing someone else to kind of compete with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. To give push, and then we'd have enough money to be able to spread around. I think the only way that you can get something cheaper is to get someone with less of a pedigree who's a free agent, or you draft someone.
So,
exactly.
So just in perspective there, Garoppolo is making $24 million per year. Geno Smith 25, Tannehill 29, and then below that, now you get into the folks that are still on their kind of rookie deals. Jordan Love is at 13.5, Bryce Young 9, Trevor Lawrence 9.
So that's basically the answer to the question is you're either going to draft somebody or you're going to pay him between $25 and $30 million a year. End of story.
Oh my God.
You know what? I mean, I don't know, because all those deals that Brian mentioned, they're kind of older deals, No.
So, Garoppolo is not an older deal.
It's brand new.
Was he renewed it, but he kind of
he was a free agent. He signed as a free agent with Vegas.
Okay.
Vegas had leverage on that deal because they weren't sure whether his foot would check out.
Right.
Yeah. And then Geno Smith was a free agent too. So that $25 million, he re-upped this year for that $25 million.
Who did?
Yeah. Geno Smith.
Yeah.
So maybe a Sam Darnold. I mean, and Sam Darnold, I think, was still on the rookie. Maybe I don't even. Or did he sign? Or did he traded?
Sam Darnold is not. He got his option picked up.
Oh yeah,
and renewed in Carolina. So I don't know what his number is, but it's not low.
It says 4.5, so I don't know how that ended up working out. So I'll investigate.
All right.
Yeah, that must be up front and all that stuff. But anyway, I derailed what you were going to say, Brandon. So let me put the train back on the tracks. Pick it up. No, back on the scene. Crispy and clean.
Old school hip hop. You gotta love it.
Yeah. So Sam Darnold signed a 1-year deal for $4.5 million with the 49ers.
How much?
Okay.
1 year deal, $4.5 million.
I told you it was a 1 year. Yeah.
As a free agent.
Yeah.
Because he was the third string quarterback when he signed that deal.
Right. And you know what? Zach would be a second string quarterback when and if he were to sign. And, there's been a lot of talk about his play. So I don't think that he's going to get $30 million if he resigns. I don't think so. I think he's going to get between 15 and 20, if that.
Yeah, because he hasn't had an opportunity, and he won't at that point, to show who he is as a quarterback.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, so if everything works out well, he sits down. The only tape you're going to see on him is preseason or what he was prior to A-Rod coming on board with us.
Which is not
good.
If you compare it to Jimmy G's tape, it's way better. Plus, he's got a Super Bowl appearance. So I don't think Jimmy won.
Hot take. I think that Zach Wilson will wind up being a better quarterback than Sam Darnold and Trey Lance.
I love it.
Hot take.
I hope so. But I hope so.
I'm double down on that hot take, and I just hope that he's doing all that better quarterbacking with the New York Jets instead of going elsewhere and tweaking me out, because he'll be at the top of my tweak list. I still like this, and I believe
not until way later. Not until way later.
True, it's all right. I'm
not until way later.
Word up, taking my vitamins, young style. Let's move on. All right. Speaking of young, there's this head coach out there in the college football ranks that acts real young, and he connects with the young. The kids love him out there. And his name is Deion Sanders, Hall of Famer, best cornerback, sorry, Revis, of all time. You're just number 2, Revis, but you'll take that when you compare yourself to Deion. Plus, you're a better tackler than Deion anyway.
Sure.
But you couldn't run them kicks back like him, though. So, all good. But Revis, we love you, Hall of Famer. Boom. All righty. I just got real New York right there, didn't I?
Boom. Real Ghostface Killer. Boom.
Yeah.
Yo, you get the Clarks, yo? Boom. You know, and then then you pay them.
The Jets fans anyway. I love it.
Blue,
you know what I'm saying?
Blue and yellow, yo. Blue and yellow.
Why you still got my killer tape when I let you hold it?
I'm on that liquid. What? No, I'm playing.
Get your size 10 feet off the glass, yo.
Yeah. I got to say this, man. I posted this on Facebook early last week, and Deion Sanders is my favorite college football coach right now. Like, I love what he's doing.
Wait. Before you answer that, you don't even have a second favorite, bro.
Answer it.
You don't even have a second favorite coach. So
I'm making a declarative statement.
His second favorite is Eli Drinkowitz from the University of Missouri.
No, my second favorite is Jim Harbaugh.
What?
Okay.
It's because you like Michigan, bro.
Yeah. He just got out of jail.
I like Michigan.
and NCAA jail.
Yeah, I know.
But first game.
I like him. That's all
He's
right.
in trouble.
I don't know about them charges. I don't know nothing about that.
It's allegedly.
Allegedly. Nick Saban wants to be your favorite football coach. He told me.
Can't stand. Nah, I'm not. As we say in Jamaica, I don't motivate them things. Nah. I mean, I respect Saban, but I can't listen. There's certain like college football programs I just can't stand. Alabama, I can't stand. I can't stand the Florida Gators. You know, that goes out to my cousins and my uncle right there, Uncle Charles, Chadwick, and Corey. I can't stand the Gators. You know, but that's a whole nother topic of conversation. Yeah. We tweak each other all the time.
So what is it about Deion's rise to prominence that has got you most excited?
I feel like there were a lot of people out there from the very beginning, even when he took over at Jackson State, that didn't really give him a chance as far as believing in him that he could, be a good coach, that he could turn a program around. He went to an HBCU, which was underfunded. He turned that program around quickly.
The fact that he even took the job in the first place. Right.
Oh,
so, just to add to what you're saying, the fact that he even took the job in the first place from a high profile and you ran down who he is, best cornerback ever. You know, he had jobs. He doesn't need to take this job, but he did ultimately. I didn't even know Jackson State was a school until he started working there, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. And I was talking to my wife about that. Like, I didn't even know they were a school until he went to work there. But go ahead.
And isn't it where Jerry Rice went to school?
No, he went to Mississippi Valley State.
Okay, I thought that Jackson State has produced some pro football players in the past.
No, I don't know.
Okay,
but yeah. So and you know what? Deion was only making, I think, $350,000 when he went down there. And you know, if you're coaching, D1 football, even though these guys were comparable to what 1AA, but for Deion being Deion. We don't know Deion to take anything like that. You know, Deion is a multi-millionaire, but he did it to get in there and coach, help the kids out, help the other coaches out, and turn around a program to show that he can do it. And he did it. And he did it in very little time. And he went down to an HBCU, which was underfunded and underrepresented and not given the respect as far as, grooming and having quality athletes that can go up to the next level. Then he leaves. He gets a lot of eyes on the program. Now people know, Jackson State. And when you know a program like that, you also have eyes on the teams that they're playing. It exposes everything, and his success just put an eye on the HBCUs, which I think is a great, great thing.
Absolutely.
And when he moved on from that school to Colorado, I think there were people who supported him like me, and then there were a lot of people who didn't support him as well. And I think that they were just getting caught up in the whole, I'm going to be honest, the whole like colorism of everything, because it's like you go from an HBCU and then they're like, oh, he's leaving to go to this ultra white school. And, they're playing the whole kind of politics of that. And I didn't think that was fair, because when he left there, he brought a lot of people with him. He brought a lot of, with the transfer portal and everything, which made it possible and easier to do it. He brought a lot of his players from Jackson State over to Colorado. He brought a lot of his coaching staff over with him to Colorado. And then also was able to help, I believe his former offensive coordinator at Jackson State became the head coach. So he set up a great foundation, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody wants to comment out there on our Facebook feed. But I do believe he left his offensive coordinator there to be the head coach of Jackson State, and correct me if I'm wrong. But he set up a foundation there. He didn't just leave it in ruins, He set it up, and then he moved on. And he moved on to a bona fide Division I school, which, used to be really good back in the day of Eric Bieniemy and Cordell Stewart.
In the 80s or early 90s. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. So it's kind of like the Jets not being in the playoffs in 13 years. You know what I'm saying? But, now they have eyes on what he's done. And he's turned this program around in 1 year, less than a year, So I just love what he's done. I love the effect that he has on the younger generation because they all love and respect him. I love it that he is new school mixed with old school. Like new school, like he's in there firing them up and kind of getting with it like that with them. But old school, like, no, you're going to wear a suit and tie. No, you can't run off the game field and take your helmet off. You know what I mean? Put it back on. Things like that I really like. And I guarantee you, those dudes run a lot in practice. Like he's one of those dudes. Like I can guarantee you, he's saying like you're not in shape until you throw up. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like one of those guys.
Wow. We can't do that anymore, man. That's not acceptable anymore. I just want you to know.
No, Long Island made everybody practice at night last week because it was too hot out.
Yeah. People get sued because of that. So, but to your point, just to add a couple things, B. His salary average.
I threw up all the time.
So he's making $29.5 million. He's making $29.5 million in Colorado for over 5 years. So that's $6 million a year. Nobody that really was talking negative things about him going from one position to the next position in their real life is going to pass up 20 times more in salary going from one position to the next. Tell me who's going to give up 20 times more money?
Nobody. All the coaches that he brought with him are making money.
Right, but let's just call it a person. Like you're UB, I'm me, blah blah blah, and I have this conversation. I'm like, yo, B, I'm thinking about taking this job, man, but I don't know if I should do it. And you say, well, how much is the money? Well, I can make 20 times more, but I don't think I should do it. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Doing the exact same thing that you were doing at the other
exact same thing, right? At a higher profile, you know what I mean? More resources, more cachet. You're on TV every Saturday, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. B, should I do it? What do you mean should you do it? Come on, man. Like, come on, 20 times. The money is the money is the money. Let's take it that. But he's engaging people. Like my wife was watching the game last Saturday.
Right.
Who knows nothing about football? She's all on top of NFL, Colts, Jets. She's all over it, right? College, not interested. But this game, wait, Coach Prime is playing? Is coaching? His son is the quarterback that he brought with him from an HBCU. What? Of course I'm watching this game. And by the way, this Sunday, she comes to me like, wait, did I miss the Buffaloes playing yesterday? Come on, man. Come on. Like.
And then it's like, he brings some of his coaches with him. It's like, hey, listen, I'm making, like $6 million a year. Why don't you come, and why don't you be my offensive coordinator, B, up in Colorado? So,
right.
Instead of making $150, why don't you make that 1.5 real quick?
Which for black coaches, that position as offensive coordinator is hard to come by. And when you're talking about a pipeline of black coaches who eventually want to play or coach in the NFL. That's your fast track to doing so is being successful at a college level or in the NFL as an offensive coordinator because that's the new thing. Offense is the new thing. So it's easier.
We gotta pause there for a second.
Go ahead.
We gotta pause there for a second.
Okay,
His offensive and defensive coordinator are both white.
Okay, so Brandon is totally wrong, and I'm sorry for what I just said. But it is true, though, what I said.
Yeah, no, but I'll jump in there for a second because I think that there's two amazing things going on here amongst a lot of amazing things, right? And Brandon talked about the first one a lot. Like going to Jackson State and being able to establish an oasis where there was none before, right? Those of us who know a lot about HBCU football know that resources are scant.
Yep.
Even at the Gramblings and the Howards, which would be like the upper echelon, the Southerns of the HBCU football universe, resources aren't very good. I will tip the hat to the NFL, who has done a pretty good job in the last few years of upping the profile of HBCUs. They had a specific combine for HBCU players this year and the year before. And they're featuring a lot of the games on the NFL Network, I've noticed too. So there has been some movement towards that. But what he did in establishing that as a destination is crazy. It was disruptive in itself that he could get not only his sons to come in and play, but also get Travis Hunter, who was the number one recruit in the country, to forego all these other Power 5 and Group of 5 offers to go to Jackson State and play both ways. And now these guys have traveled with him to Colorado, and the disruption is it's perfect timing with NIL and the transfer portal. Because what Prime did, and I'm kind of prepared for this because, like you, Brian, my wife watched the game, and Lazo and I had to kind of explain to her why this was so important and why it was so crazy. So he basically went in there and said, this is tryouts. I'm going to take a look at what's here, and if you're not going to play, I'm going to encourage you to put yourself in the portal and get out of here. No hard feelings, but it's out there. It's on blast that if you get in the transfer portal and we like you, we're bringing you in, and you're going to replace somebody else. So basically, everybody that they put on the field last week and yesterday are transfers. There's only one remaining starter from the entire Colorado team last year.
That's crazy. But they won one game, so which makes somewhat sense, right? But go ahead.
Two. They beat Nebraska yesterday.
No. Last year.
Oh, last year they only won one game. Yeah. So he completely turns over the roster. He brings in his two sons, one that plays safety and the other that plays quarterback. They were both outstanding on the FCS level. I think that Shador, the quarterback, threw something like 50 touchdowns or something like that on the FCS level. And then Travis Hunter comes with them as well. And right off the bat, this kid plays 100+ plays in the game at both receiver and corner. He has an interception and two receptions for touchdown. Like, he exploded onto the scene as a Heisman candidate. So it's a major disruption to be able to go in there, turn over the roster, tell everybody, I'm going to do it differently than anybody else is doing it. And what happens in these leagues, they're copycat leagues. So what's going to happen is that people are either going to beat him or they're going to copy him.
Right.
And he went out there and beat at TCU the team that was the runner-up for the national championship last year.
Crazy.
Wow.
In the first game. In the first game.
Yeah.
Yep. And did it in explosive fashion on offense. I mean, he gave up a lot of points on defense, but if you look at the best teams in college football right now, their good games are offense heavy and defense
And his son throws for over 500 yards in the first game of the season.
Man.
Ridiculous. And then in the second game, I think he threw for like 398 or something like that.
Yep.
He was a little bit more down to earth yesterday. The Nebraska pass rush got to him a little bit, but they were able to grind out a win yesterday. Playing football, they're well coached. They're really well coached. The offensive coordinator that he brought, I think his name is Sean Lewis. He was the head coach for a MAC school, either Toledo or I think it was Toledo or one of those schools. And he came over to be his offensive coordinator. They go super fast. They're running plays like every 12 seconds. So
I guarantee you everybody there is in shape. I guarantee you.
They're practicing at altitude too. So they're up in those Rocky Mountains getting ready.
Yeah.
So I was so impressed. And, I don't like to bluster most of the time, right? Like I'm not into people that talk a lot of smack. However, there was something about this and the whole process, and watching some of the Prime show on Amazon, Coach Prime, and paying attention. There was a bit of an organic disruption to college football. It was like an earthquake, really.
Yeah.
Not little.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see how the rest of it plays out. But they are 2-0 now.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's must watch TV at this point, right? Just to see ultimately where this goes. And what's the next stop, right? I mean, I don't want to, put too much on him ultimately. But he's, like you said, disruption, shaking things up. I love all of those things. He left HBCU sports in a better position, much better position than when he started over there. Yep. And just thinking about all the things and I think Jackson State did they have a storm down there or something, or they didn't have something rolled through or whatever. So he was like on the news for that as well. But ultimately the story, and I didn't follow him and his son, right? Ultimately his son's playing for the team, which is a great story as well. So we'll see. I mean, had he not moved from Jackson State over to Colorado, would his son ultimately be potentially an NFL player, maybe, or viewed in that light? The same player. You're talking about Hunter, right? I mean, if he stays at Jackson State, although he was the number one recruit, do they look at him as far as NFL teams differently, right? All of those things kind of run through your mind at this point. So I'm interested in seeing how it all plays out as well, Kyle.
Oh yeah, I'll be following this throughout this season, this 2023 season. It's a great story. It's a great follow, and I'm supporting Dion 100%. I kind of want to go on this journey with him, and it's something really good to follow.
Yeah, me too.
I like it a lot. Yeah, man. So guys, moving on, our last bit that we need to do. It's the Jets' first game of the season, Monday Night Football. And we got to pick, all right? We got to pick who's going to win and give me the point spread. Like, I want to know, by how much? What's the score and by how much? So I'm reading faces right now. Kyle looks like he wants to go first. Check him out.
I'm going to go 24-21 Jets.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm 24-20 Jets.
I was going to say 24-20.
Now you have to say something else.
You know what? I'm going to say 24-17 Jets. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers throwing for a highly efficient 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. And being like, 19 for 23.
I like it.
I think if we rush for over 150 yards and we have 3 sacks, we win.
Wow.
Yeah, well. I mean, I think we get to the sacks. That's not going to be a problem. The 150 yards, I just haven't seen us do that in the preseason, like run efficiently yet. So I think And this is the benefit of having an Aaron Rodgers. We have multiple ways to win this game, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we get to 150. I think we probably get more 4 or 5 sacks in order for us to be able to win this game, because we got to close it out with a couple, and we get a couple throughout the game. But yeah, I think 24-20, somewhat of a nail biter late, but I think the 24-20, we have a dominant 24-20, if that makes sense, right? It does. It feels like, oh, they get a touchdown late. We're up 24-13, and they end up coming back with a touchdown or whatever late. But ultimately, we look like a much better team than they do when the final whistle is blown.
So I would say it's more of a statement, 24-21, than a dominant one.
Okay, I'll take statement.
Yeah, and I would equate that to what the Lions did to the Chiefs on Thursday night. They kind of made a statement that I couldn't help but take away from that the post game interviews of the Lions KC game. How much your head coach permeates the character of your players. Totally. And how listening to Goff, and I forget who the second person they talked to was, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown. But it sounded like Dan Campbell was talking to you. And I think that when you hear people post-game from the Jets, it's going to sound like Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. And I agree. And that's going to be a good thing. I think our leadership is permeating our roster. And even with the Dion thing, right? Like that's a part of the recipe, going back to what we started with here. It's, like if you can have your leadership permeate the roster, you're aligned and you're going in the same direction. Making statements.
Totally.
Yeah. All right.
Woo!
We're all in the same kind of neck of the woods there when it comes to our predictions. So we all predict the Jets will win. We kind of have to do that. All right. It's easy to speak in truth rather than in feelings, because I think it's a genuine point of view, because I think we can definitely beat the Bills. We've beaten them before with a much weaker team. So I'm fully confident that we can do it on the big stage, Monday Night Football at home, 9/11. Okay, let's represent New York. All righty. And
throwback uniforms.
Yep, all that. You know what I mean? Let's go. And yeah, man. So I can't wait. Right, Bart? Wait. So guys, girls, everybody, thanks for watching another episode of the BKBK podcast. We want to be able to keep bringing you the latest news and viewpoints of where sports and the culture collide, and the New York Jets reign supreme. So keep watching. You can find us on Facebook on our BKBK Podcast fan page. Find us on Twitter at BKBK Podcast, Instagram at BKBK Podcast, as well as on YouTube. When you go to YouTube, just type in BKBK Podcast. Make sure you guys hit the like and the subscribe button. This way you can just see our complete library of work that we've been posting, and just show that support and love. And if you can't watch us, you can listen to us on iTunes. Go to bkbkpodcast.podomatic.com. Clean the wax out of your ears and listen up, all right? So that's it. Let's go Jets. Let's go Baldwin Bruins, and let's go Team BKBK.
That's right.
Kerry.